Guess what time it is? It is Feedback Friday. This is something new we decided to try. Today, we're going to carve up a few different paintings. I think about four of them, and we're going to try to make them better. And we might even carve up one of my own if we have time. A critical part of learning to paint is getting feedback because we can't see our own mistakes. We can't see when our drawing is off. We can't see the distractions. So we're going to learn by critiquing some other people's paintings. Now, I've discovered it's easier to learn from other people's paintings than from my own, because when somebody's critiquing my own, I'm like, I'm making excuses for myself. I'm freaking out. I'm thinking, oh, well, I could do better. I'm just trying not to look bad. And so that's a normal reaction. But you can see more clearly when you're looking through the eyes of others. Now, I'm on a 15 different boards of directors, and I get to look at 15 different company CEOs and how they're performing, right? And I learn more about my company by learning from their mistakes. So you can do the same thing today. So this is Art School Live Feedback Friday, and we're here every weekday at 12 noon with free art lessons, art marketing guidance, and today, feedback. So are you guys ready for Art School Live? Let's do this.
It's Art School Live with Eric Rhoads.
Okay, part of Art School Live is learning to paint by watching what others have done and to learn about painting. So what we're going to do, a few brave souls have submitted their paintings. Let's show some of them right now. They're beautiful paintings. We're going to just go through them, show some of these paintings, and we're going to ask ourselves, how can we improve them? And what I want you to be thinking about is, how can you improve them if you were the one critiquing people? So I have a few rules though. Always be kind. Be constructive always. If you tear somebody up so much, you're going to destroy them. They're going to quit painting. They're never going to do it again. I had an instructor very early on in my path who said, you really shouldn't be doing this. You don't have any talent. You shouldn't be painting. He destroyed me. I almost didn't recover. I could not paint. I didn't have any natural talent. And I was convinced that I didn't have what it takes to do this. And so you might be kind of going through that yourself. Don't go through that. You can learn this, you can succeed. Painting is a process. It's not about natural talent. And by the way, you're painting, you're playing, you're learning, you're having fun. So even the frustrating days can be fun. All right. So here's the deal on these things. When you're critiquing things, I'm going to do the critiques today, but this isn't personal. It's just my opinion. It's just some ideas. I'm seeing these kind of for the first time, so I haven't had really time to think about them. And so we'll see how it goes. But, I always try to find something nice to say, because there's always something nice to say about every painting. So I'm not going to be able to read your comments because I'm going to be looking down at my iPad and trying to make critiques. But you guys, as long as it's positive, you guys can put into the comments, and I wish you would. Here's what I see. Here's what I think you could do. Now, we're not giving names. We're giving first names, and that way we don't embarrass anybody, because the goal is not to embarrass anybody. All right. So are you guys ready for this? Okay. So let's see. Let's look at the first painting overall, if we can pull that up. Now, this painting is from, let's see if I can find the name. This painting is from Mila in New Zealand. And I got to tell you, I really like the style of it. I like the feel. It's got a lot of energy. It's really, really nice. But we're going to see if we can improve it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start out by going to a black and white. Now, I've got a black and white on my iPad. This is all pretty new to me, so we're going to see what's happening. But what I look at when I'm looking at a black and white is I'm looking at values. How do the values read? Ask yourself this: where are the lightest values in the painting? The lightest values, of course, are on the edges, and they're in these spots right here. And you have to ask yourself, where do you want the eye to go? Well, what happens is when you have all these white spots, the eye tends to go to the white spots. And so you have to ask yourself, do I want to get rid of these white spots? Um, is that where I want the eye to go? You also have to ask yourself, how are the darks? Are there darks in here that could be strengthened? And so I see the darkest dark really is this spot right here. And there's a lot of streaks of dark here and there, really dark streaks that were kind of put in as window dressing after the fact. And the darkest darks also have a tendency to draw the eye. Now, what you want to do is ask yourself, where do I want the eye to go? So I like composition. Composition is something I've always been playing with. And I see some things here compositionally that also might be able to be improved. The first thing is that we have a tendency to center things. And this is what we all do. I did it for years. And if you figure out where's the center of this painting, it's about here and it's about here. So what you have done is you have put the horizon line across the dead center, and you've put the boat essentially in the dead center. Now it's a little bit off center, but it's essentially in the dead center. So what would happen is if we moved this composition so that that's not in dead center. So what I think might be kind of cool is to take this boat here and part of this boat and move them over here, and so that they're not dead center, so that maybe that boat is coming up right around here in this area. And then we're going to move this horizon. Instead of being there, we're going to move that horizon either down here or up here. Does that sound like a plan? Okay, so let's now take a look at, see if we can find the color version of this. And so we're going to go into the color version. Now the color really makes a difference. It's a huge difference. And again, I like the energy in this painting. I like the color in it. And the color, for the most part, is drawing me to the center of interest, which is right here. You got the color in the awning and you got the little color in the boat. But there's still a lot of white that's drawing my attention. And so I'm wondering about that. And I also see some things that are making me nervous. Now, what does that mean? When I'm nervous, that means there's a lot of stuff. You've got a lot of what I call window dressing, all these little marks here and there, all this stuff that that are kind of drawing the eye. And again, it's what gives the energy, but it's also making me go, wait a minute, what do I look at? Where do I look? And so I think what we want to do is, I'm going to see if I can do this. I have never done this live before in my life, but I'm going to just say, okay, let's look at some colors here. Let's see, first off, let's see if we can bring a little bit of unity to this. What if we take this area here and we make that a little bit darker? And what if we carry this forward and we make that a little bit darker? And maybe even we carry this into here and make that a little bit darker. So that's giving us a nice rest for the eye. The other thing that's going to happen is we're going to be able to see some of these things pop. So when you put that mast on here, that mast is going to pop against that blue. Now, the other thing that I would like to see is, let's get a couple of these other things that are distracting the eye out of the way. So let's say that we've got this awning, again, nice energy, but do we want to pull the eye over there? Would we be better off to fill that in a little bit? We can still tell it's an awning, especially because the other one is all red. And maybe we even consider filling this other one in. Maybe we pick another variation of a gray, and we just fill this one in over here. And what that does is it's going to kind of simplify things a little bit. Now, also, you've got a lot of darks in these areas, and I think what we want to do is bring the darks a little bit far forward. And so what we're going to try to do is get some darks in here. Now, I like far forward darks. Now, they're not always necessary, but I would consider getting a little bit of dark on my reflection in here, because you want something up front that's a little darker, so that all your darks are not in the back of the painting. So I like to have my darkest dark in the foreground somehow. And I want a nice solid shape here. The problem is that this is not going to reflect the boat. Now, what I would like to do is I'd like to bump this boat. Remember, I'm planning on moving the boat, but I'm not going to do that here. I suppose I could, but I don't really want to draw the whole thing in. But I think what I'm going to do is ask myself, could I pump this boat up just a little bit more and make this pop just a little bit more? You know, could I have the light hitting it and make that boat pop? And that way it's really drawing my eye. And you can still put the red stuff on there, and make that red pop, and maybe, you know, make that boat pop. But that's what I would consider doing. And then if you move this whole boat over, I think that's good. This other boat is really beautiful. And then I might even consider looking at all of this and saying, okay, let's just take some of this additional clutter in here and just look for a way to declutter that just a little bit, not draw the eye in there. All right. So you know, you can have some clutter in here, but you don't want to have so much that it's drawing the eye. This, I probably have overdone it here. Let's see if I can just get a nice big brush stroke in here and maybe get some of that white covered up in there and in there. And that just might make it a little bit stronger. Again, this is just opinion, and I don't know if it's a good opinion or not. So we're going to go on and we're going to move on to the next painting, which is this lovely little lily painting. And this lily painting is done by Sandy in Germany. Wie geht's, Sandy? Now, again, I like to look at a black and white first because the black and white helps me out. And it's a good thing to do. You know, sometimes if you're out painting, to take a black and white photo just so you can see it in black and white. So, first off, I like the energy here. Let's show real quickly the color version of this. Okay, so there's a color version of it. And the color brings a lot of energy that you can't see in the value painting. But let's look at the values now. And so what I like about this is you've got this kind of feels like a focal point to me. Ooh, I don't like that color. Let's go to a brighter color. And so this is kind of a focal point to me. And so what's happening to me is I see that first, and then I'm going here, and then I'm kind of going here, and then I'm kind of going over here, and then oops, you're taking me off the edge of the paper. Now, you could also kind of say, well, I'm kind of going here, but how do you make that happen? So let's look at this from the standpoint of, um, you know, what can we do to fix this? First off, there's no reason to have this light in here. So it's probably a little bit dark, um, but let's just lighten this up, fill this space in here. And this does a couple things. It's not drawing the eye, but also it's going to help this lily pop just a little bit. And then you want to ask yourself, do I want to draw the eye back here? I'm kind of thinking I don't want to draw the eye back here. Now you've got this, looks like the ocean back here. And I might just even consider filling that in a little bit, getting rid of some of that white, and just kind of keeping the eye in this zone in here, because I think that's nice. I also, I think this is probably a reflection in here, but it feels a little unlike a reflection because it's awfully sharp. So if it's a reflection, first off, it's probably going to be more aligned. It's going to be more aligned in here, and that's going to be reflecting in here, and it's going to be a little wavy. So what I might probably do is I would probably eliminate this dark here, because I really want to draw the eye in. Now you get a nice dark here. Your darkest dark was kind of in here and in here, but I don't want that darkest dark in the back. So I'm going to lighten that up just a little bit. But why don't we do this on the color version? That way we can kind of see what's going on. So if we go into the color version, here we go. So again, I really like the energy here. I like the color. I kind of like letting watercolor do what watercolor does best. But let's just talk about doing some of the things that we kind of considered doing before. So we're going to go in here and we're just going to fill this in just a little bit in here and kind of not draw the eye in there. Now that I put as a green, that could be a green, it could be kind of a bluish green. Uh, right now it doesn't matter because you're just kind of trying to get the point. You don't want to draw too much attention to that. And again, what I want to do is I want to kind of get this out of here. Now, I think that dark is really too dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make this a little lighter, and I'm going to just lighten that dark in there. And I'm going to lighten it up so much. I'm going to put it so that it really contrasts with this lily right up in front here. And then you've got a nice, really nice, rich, dark up in here. I think what I would do is I just get rid of that reflection there because I want to give the eye a little bit something to think about and just kind of get rid of that water in the front, fill this in, and then maybe, if you want to put a little touch of blue in here just to kind of make it feel like water, you can, but it's going to distract. And so you might want to figure out how to smudge it in a little bit. Just make it very subtle, just so you get the feel of water. The other thing I see here is a bright spot that's kind of right here. And there's bright spots here and here, and that's okay. But the problem with bright spots is you've got to ask yourself, is that where I want the eye to go? And so you might want to just mute those back just a little bit, just gray them down, maybe a touch, and then that's probably not quite good enough. That's probably a little too gray, but just bring them down a touch so that they don't stick out too much. Now, again, it depends on what you're trying to do. You might want to just really, really enhance them and bring the color in. Remember, if you're bringing the color in, you want to mute it a little bit bluer as you go back, a little less warm as you go back, etc. So anyway, that kind of gives you a feel here. I also think what I would do is I'd go into this ocean in the background and I just kind of fill that in. That's just how I feel. But that way I'm trying to keep the eye in this zone here. All right, let's go to the next one. Who do we have next? This is Alan from Georgia. And Alan has done a really beautiful job. I think this kind of looks to me like it's probably a watercolor. I can't see it too up close yet. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the black and white version of this. And we're just going to look at the values and say, okay, what are we seeing here in the values? First off, we're seeing where are the darkest darks. Darkest darks are in the area of the peaks of these things. So we we've got the peaks in here and here. That's the darkest darks right in here, and a little bit of darks here, and there's some darks around the windows. So is that where we want the darkest darks to be? Well, that's okay. But the question really is, where do you want the eye to go? Now, what's happening to me in the black and white version, this is going to change with the color, but my eye is going right here to this roof line because that's where the light is. It's also going into this light, and it's also going into here. Now, I would think that what we want to do is think about this being the focal point, this here, and these umbrellas in here. And that's pretty nice. So let's ask ourselves this, compositionally, how are we doing? Well, let's see what dead center is here. Dead center is about here. And guess what's happening right about here? We got the lower line of the umbrellas. Let's see where dead center is in the middle here. Dead center is right about here. Well, you escaped a bullet because if that peak of that house had been right there, it would have been dead center, but it's a little off center, which is actually better. So that's nice. And so if you wanted compositionally to make this a little bit more interesting, I think what I would probably do is crop this here and then make make the bottom of these. You've got all this wasted space in here, and I think I would make the bottom of these change a little bit. First off, I would probably try to fill some of this space in with something darker, but also can I get a classic composition? So I can get that roof line in here, get these umbrellas right in here. This is where I want the eye to go. This is the primary area. So just by shifting all of this over a little bit, we're going to get a little of that. So let's go into the color version because it's going to change how we feel about things. Now, this is just really, really lovely. So I like the umbrellas, but I have to ask myself, where do you want the eye to go? What is drawing the eye? This white here is not drawing the eye as much as it drew the eye in the black and white. What's drawing the eye is this area here and these umbrellas in here. And this composition actually feels better to me now because I can see in the color, it doesn't feel quite so centered. So I think you could leave it as it is, and I think it's still pretty strong. So where is your focal point? I think this area here is your focal point. And so this kind of works like here. So, this area here is where I would put my time and attention. You've done a beautiful job on the structure of that house and the feel of the shingles and the beautiful windows. And so I think I'd put my emphasis on those. And I would probably consider asking myself, how can I draw a little bit more attention to this area in this painting? And so what I might consider doing is bumping up the light just a little bit more uh, on here so that I'm drawing the eye in here. I'd probably put a little bit of light on here to draw the eye. So now, and then on here, on here, on here, on here. Now that's really drawing my eye. But the problem, of course, are the umbrellas now, because you've got to ask yourself, how many focal points can I have? You can't have more than one focal point, or you really shouldn't. So can we take these umbrellas and mute them back a little bit? So you still know they're umbrellas, but can we mute them back just a little bit so that they're not quite so dominant? And the answer is we can, and that already makes the painting more powerful if the focal point is up there. So, and then I think what I would probably consider doing is just kind of look for an opportunity to get a little bit more foliage of some kind in here. My foliage isn't quite the right color, but the idea is get something in here that is going to just kind of cover up more of this roof, because this foliage isn't contributing, or that roof line isn't contributing a lot. And I'd probably even bring some of this over here, and then you can bring it up in here and so on. And now you've got a really nice, I like the dark of the sky against the roof of the house. See how that changes things? Now let's ask ourselves this, could we do something with this foreground? And that is, we could lead the eye in. Now you're leading the eye in here with this angle, which is fine. But could we lead the eye in over here? So we really want to point that direction. So maybe what we can do is we can kind of give this a little bit of shadow, and then bring the path in over here. And then of course we can get some grass in this front area if we want to. Maybe we can mute that back just a little bit. And then now what's happening is we're getting a path. Let's get a little color in this path because there's some light. And so let's just put a little color in this path and see if we can make that path feel come alive just a little bit more. And I wouldn't put the same color all over it, but you can kind of mess with that, and you can put some of these greens in here, in the grass, in the shadows, etc. So what's happening is you're drawing the eye where you want the eye to go, which is in here. Okay, I think that was fun. All right, now we're going to go to the next one. Who do we have next? We have, oh, this one, I like this. It's from Linda in Texas. Of course, it's a blacksmith in Texas. My son is a blacksmith in Texas, and so I happen to love this. So we're going to start out with the black and white of the painting, and I have to ask myself, what is it that I'm looking for here? So there's a lot going on. Paintings get really, really busy. And what's happened here is this is very photographic in style. Now, I love it. It's got a really nice feel to it. But it's when you look at a black and white, here's some things that you might notice. First off, ask yourself, where is light dropping and where's your lightest light? So, from what I can tell, the lightest light is right here. And the next lightest light, if I squint down and look at it, it's right in here, and maybe right in here, right in the edge here, and right on the blacksmith anvil. And there's some lights, there's light on his back, there's light back here, there's light back here, there's light here, and there's light coming up from the smoke. Of course, in the color version, it's going to change this. You got a lot of light going on. And the question is, what could you do to make this more dramatic? Because it's a very busy painting. Now, busy isn't bad, but what could you do that would make this feel a little bit different? And so I think part of what I would look at is, how can I mute this down? First off, do I really care if I see his legs? Am I going to be um, am I going to be better off if I get a sense of him like this? Where this is the focal point. Um, am I, is it necessary to show all this other stuff? It might be to you. And if that's the case, I would just look at this and I'd say, okay, can I mute some of this light in here? Is it adding anything? Because it's drawing the eye right now. And I understand it's in the photograph and you want to, you're trying to represent what you see, but what am I really trying to do? Do I want to show all this bucket? Do I want to show all this light? Do I even want to show this light? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But the things that I think are really critical, I mean, you have a huge opportunity here because you got this fire. You have a huge opportunity with fire. You've got the blacksmith anvil, which is cool. You got the smoke, and you got this guy's face. And what I love is you can have the color go on to the face, and I think that's pretty cool. So let's take a look at the color version and see what this is. Now, the color changes everything, but I would ask myself, what's my focal point? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I think this is the focal point right here, and that would be this anvil. And so we're going to see, where does this happen? Okay, you've got right here's the center of the painting. And guess what happens at the center of the painting? The bottom of the building and pretty close to the top of the anvil. And the other center of the painting is right about here. And so we've got pretty close here to the edge of the building. So maybe we could improve on that. Maybe we can look for a way to make that a little stronger. So what you want to look for opportunities for contrast. So first off, I think this is the focal point. And so if we put the focal point here, and then let's see here, how do we do this? Maybe like this. Okay, so that's kind of a good focal point. So what if we do this? Let's take this background of this building. First off, it looks gray. So that's okay. Let's just take this building and bring it all the way over here. Now, why am I doing this? Because I want him and his hat to stand out. And it's nice to show that he's outdoors, but what if I could just kind of make this all stand out so that he stands out? And what if I darken a lot of this back here? What's going to happen is it's going to draw the eye less. Now you're going to have this smoke who's going to be going up in there, and you want that smoke to really pop. The other thing you want to really pop is you want to look for an opportunity to really make this fire pop, right? Feel how much more drama you get there. Now, what if you were to put a little of that fire on his face? Now, I'm not able to do that in this environment to do it properly. But if you were to be able to give him a sense of that glow on his face and a little of that glow under his hat, and I've seen blacksmith paintings that do this, a little of that glow on his shirt. So what happens is you create drama, a glow on his hand, glow on his hammer, maybe even a little glow in here, and that creates some drama. Now, the other question I have is where is the light coming from? And it looks like it's coming from this direction, but it's a little hard to tell. So I think we're going to leave that drama in there because I like that drama. You can have this fence line back here. You can have this tree back there, so you get a sense that it's outdoors. And then you can take this smoke, and you can kind of bring it up in here. But you might want to light or darken it as it goes up, so that you have an opportunity to make it draw the eye not too much away. And then what I might want to look at is what is my light doing? So how can I get light that is a little bit more yellowy? What can I do to get a kind of a warmer light in here? Because this light is very cool. And whoops, what if we take this light and we make it a lot warmer? So that's a little too warm. So maybe we can figure out how to lighten this up just a little bit. And maybe we'll go over here just a little bit. But now we take this light and we put the light on the anvil, and we put the light on the edge and the edge, and we put the light on his hat. So now what's happening is we're creating drama. You've got a little light on his front here. Now I don't want to draw too much attention there, so I probably wouldn't bring it all the way down. I'd probably kind of mute it back and just kind of let it do a little bit in there, but not too much. Now all of a sudden it changes the painting. I think this bucket is nice, but I'd probably mute it back just a little bit because you don't want to draw too much attention to it. Now blacksmiths have to have a bucket because they have water in it, and that water then helps them cool things. And so you might want to just make sure that that water feels a little bit bluer in there, just so you know the blacksmith's got a little bit of water in there. All right. So anyway, that's what I would do with that one. And I think it's really a lovely painting now. Let's see if we can improve it. And I hope you guys will send me your copies. Okay, so now let's see, what do we have next? This comes from Carol in Ohio. Nice job, Carol. Thank you for that. Let's look at Carol in a black and white version. Okay, so where's the darkest dark? Where do we want the eye to go? So what's happening is I'm seeing the darkest dark being right in here, and maybe these trees here. Where is the lightest light? Okay, now this is a watercolor, so you're going to deal with the paper. But where's the lightest light? The lightest light is right here, and then you've got some lights in here and here. You got lights on these trees, and you got a light over here. Now, so the question becomes, where do you want the eye to go? And first off, let's measure this from the standpoint of where's the dead center in the canvas. So dead center in the canvas is right about here. And oh, look what happens here. Okay, you've got kind of the horizon line starting there, but it's a little bit lower down here, which is nice. And where's the center of the painting? Oh, the center of the painting is right here. And guess what's in the center of the painting? Focal point. So let's look at how we could improve this. So maybe what we do, first off, I think the intent probably is to put the focal point to be these trees. So if we do these trees here, where's the focal point? So if we want this to be here, I think what I would do is I would lower this horizon line just a little bit. So if we did that, let's just play with this and see what that looks like. So we're going to pull up a gray, and we're just going to lower that horizon line down here. We probably need to make that a little darker. So we're going to lower this overall horizon line down just a little bit more, so it's not dead center. And what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of hide some of that stuff back there for now, just to get a feel for how does this feel. Now we can still move it down the river. But this white spot here isn't doing us much good from here. Once we look at the color, it might change, but I don't know if I want to draw the eye back here. Maybe they want to draw me to this mountain, but I don't know that yet because we haven't looked at color. So let's look at the color and see what we can do. I see here, by the way, this spot here up in front. This spot here is kind of, let's just mute that back. That's the wrong color. We'll mute it back with that's the wrong color too, but we'll mute it back in here. And then I'm asking myself, why do I want this island here? What is this island here doing for me? I think what might be more effective here might be a reflection of the trees, because the island was there either in your photograph or your plein air painting, and the island was there and you decided to leave it there. But is it the best place for it? Now, it's an island. If you want to keep the island, I think what I would do is I'd move the island over here. So it's not lined up directly here. I'd move it over here, or probably over here, or maybe smaller over here. But let's go to the color version and see what that looks like. Ooh la la. Okay, there's the color version. All right, so it's a watercolor, and obviously spots of the white are showing through. And this has got a lot of energy. It's really nicely rendered, and there's a lot going on here. So the island doesn't bug me as much in this particular one, but I think what I want to do, and I'm just going to go and see if I can pull this off, is I'm going to just try and get a little bit of distance in here, and I'm just gonna lower these trees down. All right. So we'll just lower all of this into here, and we're just gonna make that bluer because it's kind of a green in the distance, right? And we're just gonna fill this in right there. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to move these trees over here because I think that would be a little bit stronger, but let's leave them here for now and see what we can do with that. So I filled that in. Um, I think all of this back here is really nice, but I think what I want to do is bring less attention to this area over here. So I think what we're going to do is we're just going to darken this a little bit. Maybe it'd be a shadow or something. The idea is that we're not trying to bring so much attention in here. Now we're asking ourselves, where do we want to bring the attention? Well, we want to bring the attention into here, right? Because this is where our primary trees are. So we might want to pop up the color on part of the trees in here. And then you might want to look for an opportunity to pop up the light. So how can we make this light seem a little bit warmer? And probably that's too warm, but let's see if we can just warm this light up just a little bit. Just make these pop just a little bit more. And the one thing you got to be really careful about is pairs. You got pair here, pair here, pair here. It's usually stronger to do threes. So you do threes. You can do threes and twos, but what you don't want to do is 2, 2, and 2. So what you want to do is look for an opportunity to not stack everything the same way. And then what you want to do is then focus primarily on these. So I'd maybe mute one of these back a little bit. And so you're getting 3 of these that are going to look really pretty strong. And then we're going to mute, put a little light on it, and then we're going to kind of mute these others back just a little tiny bit because we're trying not to draw the eye to them too much more. So I think that's just, you want a nice dark on here. So what I'd like to see probably is a little bit of, maybe darken this water just a little bit up in front. and or especially over in here. And then let's look for an opportunity where we can not draw the eye so much there, but we're going to draw the eye in here because we're going to have these nice reflections in here. And so you can have, um, have your water in here. I think just get rid of the island, and then you have, you have a nice water in here, bright water in here, but then you also have the ability to put some of this color. Now the color is going to be just a little bit darker typically, probably not quite that dark. So you can put a little of this color reflection in here, and then you can kind of take some of your reflected stuff and put it in here, and just to keep it a little bit more interesting. And then last but not least is let's mute this rock back here so that we're not drawing so much attention to it. That is the wrong color. We can make that a brown possibly, and just it's okay to have it there. We can put a little bit of light on it, but we just don't want to put a lot of light on it because right in here where we've got these really nice rocks, we just put some really nice bright, try to hopefully um, warmer lights on those, and that'll just make it pop just a little bit more. So um, trying to figure out where to get the right colors. We're not getting those, but anyway, and I think that this would be stronger if we just cut it off right here and eliminated all of that. And that way, now you've got a really interesting composition. These trees are lovely. This does not bother me at all. It's lovely, but you want to just kind of make this your focal point. Okay, so I don't think we have any more, but I thought what I would do is I'd critique one of my own paintings because I was going through a couple paintings that the gallery sent me that I'm thinking about taking back and redoing. So I'm going to pull up this one. This one is at Series Gallery, and I remember the spot, remember painting it. But when you're outdoors and you're painting and you're thinking about things, sometimes you're missing it. And so I look at this painting and I say, okay, if I'm going to fix it, now I'll probably prevent it from selling. Elaine Miller will be mad at me. But I look at this and I say, okay, what is it about this that's really bugging me? And it feels to me, first off, it feels to me like I've broken my own rule. Okay, where's the center? The center is there. Where's the center? The center is there. And what have I done? Is I've made a composition that's basically relying on the center. And that just is not something I want to do. So what could I do in this? Well, I can bring the center line down, or I can bring the center line up. I can do that, but I think we're going to bring it down. So let's first start by saying, okay, how do we bring this center line down? So I'm going to try right now to get this center line down here. Okay, that means what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to I could still leave these distant mountains in there if I want to. And I can still leave some of that distant foliage in there if I want to in there. But if I were going to put these colorful trees, excuse me, then I'm going to probably put them in here instead of in there. But I'm not loving that, so I'm not going to do that. What I'm probably going to do, I probably want to lower this a little bit more. I don't like that center line there. And so I think what we'll do is we're going to first off, we're going to bring the sky down. We're going to bring the sky all the way down to here. And we're going to get rid of all of that. Okay. Now, skies are another story for another time, but we've got an opportunity here to bring the sky down and make this stand out just a little bit more. Now let's make sure it's not dead center. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit more. Now I will then drop in my mountains, and I'll just make that a mountain for now. And then if I wanted some foreground, I could put that in there. But right now I've got some water. So let's just reflect that sky, and that will reflect that mountain in that water. So we've got that mountain reflecting in the water, and then we've got the water in here. Okay. So what I don't like about this painting is that it is still, half and half. So what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to bring the tree out a little bit more. And so I'm going to bring the leaves of the tree out here, have the whole thing come out a little bit further into this area. I would have to obviously finesse that, darken certain parts of it, and make it a little bit stronger. But this way, the tree is now no longer at the halfway point. It's kind of all over the map in this area. And so now I've got if you look at this, I've got a big shape that's kind of going over here, going into here, and that will help create a little bit more balance on this. And then when I put my tree trunk in there, I'm just going to make it look like it's supposed to be there. The other thing I don't like is I'm going to just color this in to try to match the sky. And I'm I'm going to make this much less pronounced here. And because what I don't like about this is this feels a little bit wrong to me, and I want this to really recede. So I'm going to bring the rocks all the way out here and make a foreground and not try to make that just a half and half kind of thing. So I'm going to move these rocks kind of all the way out here, move the tree down into here. Obviously that's the wrong color, but move the tree down into here a little bit more, maybe make a branch out. And then what I can do is I can go in and find some color and just throw some color on some rocks in here, give some texture. But what's going to happen here is that I now have a little bit better composition, throw some grass in here, some light in here, and so on. But this is going to be more interesting in the long run. And of course, I would put some color on these leaves, probably not that intense, um, but something in here to kind of give this, make it pop. And I want it to pop really in my focal point, which is right in here. So rather than putting all this color up here, I can have a little color up here, but what I want to do is have my intensity down here, my focal point. If I'm going to have any intensity at all, then let's put that intensity somewhere down in here, and let's kind of mute back what we've got in here, and then maybe brighten up these rocks up in here so that the rocks are really getting a lot of attention. So you're really singing a song about light right in this zone here. Anyway, I've just messed up my own painting. I hope that's okay. All right, so let's do this. We are going to just end it. This has been Feedback Friday. I hope you've enjoyed it. I've really never done this before. I do critiques all the time in person, but I've never done one on an iPad. So thanks for your tolerance. Um, we're here, Art School Live, every weekday at 12 noon Eastern. We do demos with artists most days. We do a little art marketing here and there, and Feedback Fridays. We're going to try that from time to time because it's kind of fun. We're getting a lot of people. We had over 80 people submit paintings just for this. If you submitted paintings, hang in there. We've got them. You don't have to keep sending them. Don't keep resending them. We've got them. And we're going to get to them. But, in this amount of time, 40, 50 minutes, it is, it takes some time to critique some paintings. I could have done somebody else's, but I thought it'd be good to critique one of my own because sometimes, if I let a painting sit, at a gallery, if it sits in a gallery for a couple of years, then I might say to myself, well, it may be time to bring it back and see what's wrong with it. Because if it's not selling, maybe there's something wrong with it. Maybe not. But I looked at that one and I said, that one's obvious to me. I looked at some of the others and I thought, yeah, they're pretty good. So that one I can easily fix and then put it back out there and maybe somebody will want it. maybe not. But anyway, remember, you learn more by watching other people get critiqued, and you can get critiqued. You can send your critiques to me. Just send them to me, streamlinepublishing.com/feedback dash Friday. Streamlinepublishing.com/feedback Friday. And please don't resend your paintings. Sorry, I haven't been able to go into the comments because I've been busy with my tablet, but I hope you've enjoyed this. And if you want to do it again, say so. Make sure you subscribe to this. We're on YouTube and a lot of other places, but go to YouTube and subscribe. That would be really great. That helps a lot. Hey, thanks. Happy Friday. Have a really terrific day. I'm Eric Rhoads. Bye-bye.